welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast, and we are here to talk a little Hanukkah. This is so exciting. And yes, we are here to talk Love Lights and Hanukkah, and then we're also talking about one of the Lifetime movies because of the weird way this all got figured out this weekend's coverage. But it's going to be fun, and we're excited to have with us Stacey Agdern again. This is her second year coming on to talk Hanukkah movies, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I had such a blast last year that I absolutely had to come back.
Yeah, we're so grateful. And basically, the reason why things got kind of messed up as far as the schedule was because we had you scheduled for next week, but then they moved the Hanukkah movie up a week because I think they realized they needed to have it during Hanukkah.
Exactly, because we light the last candle on Thursday night, and the last day and the holiday ends like Friday at sundown. So like having a Hanukkah movie on the day after Hanukkah is finished, it's a great thought, but it defeats the purpose in a lot of ways.
I don't think they had thought that one through when they had done that. Everything got all kind of mixed up, but I think the two films we're going to talk about are a lot of fun, and so it worked out perfect. So we're going to talk about In Love Christmas on Lifetime Channel and Love Lights and Hanukkah on Hallmark Channel. But first, before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your book, your Hanukkah themed romance book?
So, hi, my name is Stacey Agdern.
Yes, you can introduce yourself too.
All good. On October 13th, Tuli Publishing released my debut single title novel called Miracles and Menorahs. It's a book that was born out of love for my favorite holiday, but also my love for Hallmark movies. Hallmark movies were a bomb in a period where I needed something desperately to sort of put some, a fuzzy blanket around my brain, if you will. And after watching a lot of the Christmas movies, I wondered what would happen if the characters were Jewish and the holiday that was being celebrated was Hanukkah. So Miracles and Menorahs is my love letter to all things Hanukkah and all things holiday movie with a Hanukkah twist. Mm-hmm. Small town Hanukkah festival needs to be saved. Our heroine thinks her way of saving it is to get a large menorah to go at the center of town. Of course, the leading candidate sculptor, who is the grandson of one of the denizens of the town and the Jewish community in the town, believes that the idea of commercializing Hanukkah and the menorah for a festival like the one that the small town has is a horrible idea. Uh-huh. And so they are at cross purposes, and the story is about community and family and celebrations and the joy and light of Hanukkah.
Yeah, it's really fun. You have hunky Isaac as your sort of disgruntled artisan in there. And did you have somebody in mind when you were thinking about Sarah and Isaac as you were writing?
So I didn't necessarily think about faces so much, but Ryan Hurd is a musician, and I saw him in concert, I want to say, as I was writing the book, and watching him play on stage is a treat. But I was thinking about what Isaac looked like and thinking about how developed his arms would be spending all of this time working with metal. And when I saw Ryan Hurd on stage and the way that his muscles were developed in his arms, I was like, okay, that's it. That's him. He's also pretty tall, like Isaac is. Sarah, Mila Kunis, Mia Kirshner could play Sarah. They are, the idea, one of the things that I sort of wanted, for reasons you might possibly be able to tell, is I wanted Sarah to have curly hair, and I wanted people to see that on the cover. So I was really, really thrilled when Tubi gave me that on the cover, if that makes any sense.
That's really fun. I'm excited. And you said book 1, so are you planning on more?
I am in the process of editing and revising The History of Us, which comes out on June 24th from Thule Publishing as well. It's a summer second chance, well, what I like to call last chance romance between a couple that they were childhood best friends, they were first crushes, they were first loves, and they cannot seem to get it together. She is a museum curator sent to get items from the archives of his family's collection for an exhibit that she is putting together, that her boss is putting together so that she could make the exhibit that she wants to, but he does not trust her boss.
Well, that sounds really fun. We'll have to have you on when you publish that. And we'll put a link down if people want to check out the Miracles and Menorahs. And we'll put one of our affiliate links if people want to use that. Check it out. That would be really fun. And right now it's only 99 cents on Kindle. So people, there's a win-win.
It's exciting. I think my sneaking suspicion is that the sale is going to be available through the end of the holiday, but I don't know. So
yeah, so check out now while you have the chance. So that's great. Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment to get your first book published. Thank you. And that's great. That's just wonderful. All right. Well, let's cover the Lifetime movie first. How about that? Sure. And then we'll end with Love Lights and Hanukkah. So In Love by Christmas, excuse me. So this movie stars Jonna Walsh and Jesse Hutch and Jane Eastwood, who is like the queen of Christmas this year. She's been in, if you've been watching Lifetime movies, she's been in like 4 of them. And I struggle a little bit because I think she's delightful, but she played Mrs. Hammond on Anne Green Gables, who was so mean. And so they basically like had Anne as her slave, and she was the worst. Yeah. And she barely got out of there. And she would have nightmares about Mrs. Hammond and 3 sets of twins.
Oh God.
And so I always struggle with Jane Eastwood. I want to interview her and ask her about playing Mrs. Hammond, because I'm sure she's had to deal with that all these years later. And that was in 1984, and they still haven't let it go. It's terrible, but she's great. I really liked her in this, actually.
Yeah, and for me, she was one of I love the supporting cast in this movie so much. I love the inn owner. I loved the grandmother and her boyfriend.
Yeah, it was cute.
I like his grandfather. I've seen in a bunch of different Hallmark movies, and I loved.
I feel like a lot of times he plays the villain in the murder mysteries.
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen him a lot of times. Mandy Leeds is a successful young woman living in sunny Miami. She's on her way up the corporate ladder in the hotel industry. She doesn't get back to her small hometown much, but this year her Graham has finally convinced her to come home for Christmas. Mandy has another reason too. The quaint local inn is for sale, and she wants to acquire it for her company. With her eyes on the prize, Mandy travels back home, but on her way there, she runs into none other than Lucas Menzino, her high school rival, and it turns out he's got his eye on the inn as well. So this is another movie from Lifetime where they have people fighting over property. This is a big thing this year for Lifetime Channel. We had Christmas Listing. We had the one about the on Main Street one. We had, there's been a bunch.
The thing is, this isn't we've seen this plot line generally before, not just on Lifetime, and it's an interesting plot line too to work with, because you've got instant conflict, right?
Yeah,
you've got instant conflict, and sometimes there's places to go with it and sometimes not, and it's kind of lovely to see. Oh God, what was the Rachel Dawson movie from Hallmark last year.
Oh, Check Into Christmas.
Yes, that was like, I loved the way they worked with that problem, and
that
I
was
loved
fun.
sort of how that ended. Exactly. And like, it's, like there are so many ways that they could have taken this.
Yeah. That's true. There is a ton of save the end kind of stories. You have the one with Alison Sweeney, and Jordan Bridges. He's the man from the city coming in to take down the small inn. You even have with Jesse Hutch, Let It Snow, Candace Cameron Bure. There's a ton. It's very popular. But the thing that I thought was funny is you have two people very, very excited about this inn, and there were no other guests at the inn.
It was hard for them to like explain. Like I loved I think like 2 nights ago I saw the rebroadcast of Time for Us to Come Home for Christmas. And so like they in having problems, like a whole bunch of people randomly like together like to sort of celebrate one particular evening, and that's how they dealt with the inn was having problems storyline.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And it was a really cool thing to sort of watch it happen. But like, I think for me, the problems started earlier, if that makes sense.
And yeah, overall, what did you think of this movie? In Love by Christmas.
I was not in love with it. Too far the title.
Yeah. For me, this movie was fine. I didn't hate it. I was just very average on it. I think it got a long way on two pretty likable leads. It had a couple fun things that I haven't really seen that much. It was fine, but it wasn't great. I'll say that.
They had one of the things that I kind of thought was a really, really missed opportunity was that they were high school rivals. But the thing is, there wasn't very much of that backstory. So like an hour in, when he was like, I want what's best for you. You want to be like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even know her. Like, what is this?
Yeah, I'll tell you what did that dynamic much better is it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas with Eric Mabius and Tricia Helfner. That movie was so funny. And the fact that the town was just completely divided, half and half, made me laugh.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Like, even with the special coffee drinks and like
yeah, that was so funny.
There are so many ways to like work with that dynamic. And when you tie it with the burned out character, which we've seen before, there are better ways for the character to deliver that lesson.
Yeah. Well, and she's not even like burned out. She actually loves her. She's like, I'm good at my job. I'm good at doing what I do.
I loved her character so much.
Yeah. I liked both of them. I mean, you have Jesse Hutch with his quarantine hair. You're just like, what is happening?
But he was lovely to watch, but
yeah, he's great. He's super charming. He's such a nice person that it comes a long way with that. And I kind of had fun with them, going back and forth in the car and then going to having this cheese eating competition. I wish that we could have seen them pile on that cheese.
Yes, that would have been fantastic.
It would have been disgusting, but it would have been funny.
But it would have like pulled them. It would have sort of built that mystery more between the characters. Like,
instead of just seeing that they had cleaned their plates, like that would have been funny to have had like a montage or something of showing them like eating that cheese.
Because like you have them fall into that chemistry like from the beginning, but like having that moment of them actually sort of trying to best each other, like
because they're so competitive.
Exactly. And it's like it definitely was a missed opportunity to have that backstory sort of come in.
Yeah. Well, it just made me laugh. Like I said, that they're both competing for the same inn that nobody's staying at. Well, they both had the same. It was funny. But yeah, I loved Graham and the grandpa. And that was so cute. Like we usually don't get older love stories like that. It's usually just the younger kids. And so that was fun.
Too. Like, oh, by the way, here's my surprise.
Yeah, congratulations, you're helping me move, kind of thing.
Exactly.
What did you think of the whole scene when they're stuck in his so they moved his grandfather out but then they get stuck at this cabin, and there's nothing there because all the stuff has just been moved except for he makes her, he's a chef.
Yeah,
he makes her a pickle and
Yes.
mustard sandwich.
That was cute. That I have to say was cute.
Cute
really
and disgusting, or cute and sounds good?
Yeah, it was. Here's the thing, like, chefs have magic, like they know flavors and foods and stuff. And so, I mean, you know, sure, like I was absolutely, you know, if I were, you know, if I were that hungry after moving everything in the world, and someone like does their best to make a, you know, sandwich out of whatever this, you know, whatever his grandfather has remained in the fridge, I am going to do my best to try it.
I feel like for some weird reason that all of those ingredients would just be better eaten separately, like have like 3 courses: course of bread, course of mustard, course of pickles. Than having them together. For some reason in my brain that makes it more gross. I don't know why.
I'm thinking like they're eating hot dog relish.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it was a jar of pickles or what it was. I can't remember. But yeah, I mean, I do like pickles. I can't eat them very much because I have a lot of salt. But I do like a good pickle.
Yeah. Like, all right.
If it was onions, then absolutely not. I'm not eating that. I hate raw onions.
Yeah, same. That would not happen. No raw onions.
It was pretty cute. I mean, and just kind of cozy. Them being stuck there and everything is sort of fun. And you also have the whole sequence of Jesse Hutch jamming it out to Silent Night.
Like, I was like, okay, that was a little bit strange. I was like,
I was laughing because it's like, I get it, Silent Night is free, we all understand, but like, come on, if somebody is jamming out on their guitar, they're not doing it to Silent Night. That's just not gonna happen.
They're exactly. But and also like in conjunction with like, so at that point, like we'd seen him like create like a sandwich out of, you know, mustard and pickles, and we've seen him like be the one to like make the turnips and all of the other things. And I think for me, that scene with the jamming out was a little too much.
It was ridiculous. I mean,
I
guess if I had to pick a classic Christmas Carol to jam out to, maybe Deck the Halls. That's at least a little bit more like
yeah, because like, you've heard people like attempt to make that like metal or something. I guess like it's just a moment where like he's, you know, emo sitting like in his room with his guitar. I'm just like, okay, we are trying to like I'm not quite sure like.
Yeah, in fairness, Silent Night was written originally for the guitar, but not a
this emo jamming moment.
Like, I'm laughing. That was like, so funny to me.
And I remember the cross shot of her in her room, and I'm just like, oh my God, you either love his food that much or you've got earplugs in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So then the next scene, you have her and her friend and her grandma, who are all helping to what's that?
I love her best. I love that supporting cast. I love her best friend.
Mm-hmm.
I love her grandmother. I love the storekeeper. Like, you know, she was really, really sweet. Mm-hmm. I love, as I said, I love that supporting cast. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, they all renovate the main part of the inn and make it really nice. And then he presents his like edgy cutting edge modern menu.
Was when I was oh my God.
What? Edgy by way of like 1962 when he has chicken cordon bleu and oysters Rockefeller. Those are like super old dishes. They're not modern in any way.
Well, also, like, so was his mentality. Like, either right around that point or shortly thereafter, he says the following. And I think that was when I was like, all right, I'm done. Where he says, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I found that's true for everyone, not just guys. And I'm like, you think this is, like, in conjunction with the menu and the biscotti, you think that this is, like, revolutionary?
Yeah. Chicken cordon bleu is like the most basic food you could imagine. It's delicious. I enjoy it.
But,
I mean,
like,
maybe if you were going to have, like, the way to make it modern is if you like deconstructed it somehow, and maybe you had like I don't know, like used agar to make cordon bleu balls or something. You know what I mean? Like something like that is modern cooking, not chicken cordon bleu and oysters Rockefeller.
Yeah, like, who's gonna come to an inn in the middle of, when that was another issue I had. Where is this town?
Yeah. Who knows? It's like, Christmasville,
like,
United States.
Because one of the things that I was sitting there going, like, at some point she was like, oh yeah, you know, I'll be home, or I'll be in New York, I'll go to Manhattan. And I'm like, okay, where are you?
Yeah, because it just says local inn. She's coming from Miami.
Yeah,
she's up there. I don't know if it said it anywhere, but yeah, that was
because I was just like, you're gonna oysters Rockefeller where? Like,
yeah, it was
people are
just
gonna
not
come to
edgy
in the
at
middle
all.
of nowhere near an ocean.
Like, it's honestly the kind of food you would have if you were advertising comfort food classics, not modern and edgy.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so then they have this really strange party. She has this weird dress with, I called it the mullet dress because it was like short in front, long in back, which I did not like. And then the mean girl in town who hates her.
Ugh. That's like, that was another thing that bothered me immensely. Like, that villain had one note. That was
oh
it.
yeah.
It was like, literally, like, even with her, like, is there there's a connotation with villains named Ashley, right? Like, there's that sort of idea of like Ashley equals villain from, like, I forget what it was from, but like there are those connotations, and literally her name was Ashley, and it was no mean girl, and I'm just like.
And let's talk about this girl, because not only was she super mean, but she wears a pink dress to a Christmas party. What is with that? I've never heard of that in my life. And
like, is this literally like a reference to like girls or something like that? Because
it was weird.
Like,
and she outs her that she's going to be running this in from far away, that she has no plans to actually live there, and this is like horrific to this town. This party is ruined. Everything is all aghast that she would do this. And so then we get this strange concert scene with this singer named Ginny Zeal, and I don't know if Ginny Zeal is like, is she someone I'm supposed to know? Is she like, because it seemed like the kind of thing that, oh, this is somebody that's famous. Like, I understand in a, say, Marie Osmond movie why you might have a long sequence of Marie Osmond singing because she's an icon, like, hello, or Dolly Parton or somebody like that. I don't understand why Ginny Zeal got this long scene of her singing. I was just like, what?
I was already gone by that point. Like,
who is this person?
So the logic of this at this point, like, escapes me. But like, you know, like, if there is a point to a concert scene in a movie, that's wonderful. But like, if there is absolutely no point, like, you extend, like, why do you extend it?
Who is Ginny Z? Please tell me. She has no other credits on IMDb. It's her name on the show is Ginny Z. Her name on the actress's name is Mariah Campos. Sorry, I saw it wrong. Mariah Campos, she has one other credit. Mariah Campos. So it was so weird. I don't understand why they had that long song as if she was some kind of famous person.
And if they're
And
gonna make, if they're gonna make a fictional singer, she should have been mentioned throughout the movie.
yeah, well, there was like a song for Christmas with Becca Tobin, where she's supposed to be famous.
Like there have been a bunch of, like, this wasn't a Christmas movie. This was the movie that was supposed to be aired last year and then ended up.
Country Heart. Yeah.
That one. Like they did a really great job in creating a fictional singer and then had him perform and had the heroine perform as well. And it's possible. Like people have done this. Like in even like the first of the Blake Shelton movies.
Right. Oh yeah, that's good. That's another example. So she's so famous, this Ginny Zeal, that she attracts tons of people to come to the inn, and they get immediately booked through Valentine's Day. And then Mandy announces that she's going to actually move closer to home, and she is going to run the inn, and she hires Lucas as the chef, and all is well in the world. And so
that makes sense. Like I could see like part of the, like I understood why he wanted to buy the inn, but like he's a chef, that's what he does, so I could totally see him like logically as the chef for the inn.
Yeah, and I guess if you have Ginny Zeal in your pocket, then what? I mean, come on,
like as a Deus Ex Machina, apparently.
It's like knowing Miley Cyrus or something, evidently. So yeah, I did think that certain parts of this movie were fun. I liked the whole beginning with them on the road. I liked the cheese eating thing. That was fun. I liked them being stuck in that cabin and the pickle and mustard sandwich. And but then it also had obviously its ridiculous parts. The whole party basically didn't work for me. I thought they had okay chemistry. It wasn't like the best, but it wasn't the worst. It was fine. And so, and I liked Graham and Grandpa. They were really cute.
Yeah, they were absolutely adorable.
So I give this movie 3 stars out of 5. To me, it's just, yeah, I'm going to give it 3. It was fine.
Mine is a DNF, obviously, but I would say like a 1. I would give it a 2.
2, okay.
2 because I stopped watching.
Oh, but like stopped. The other, so you didn't see the ending.
I stopped right before the party.
Oh, so you didn't even see the party?
No.
I didn't realize that. I missed that.
It's fine. But yeah, no, I stopped. The party. The last thing I saw was like her grandmother and the best friend and her like renovating the inn. Like I got up to the party, and then he made the comment about.
So you didn't even see the long concert scene. It was so long.
But the thing is, like, if you are talking, if like it comes out of nowhere, it's a problem. Yeah. Like, does that make sense? Like,
no, it did. It absolutely did, and like, it made no sense.
And it's the thing is, like, if you're gonna, as I said, like, if you're gonna create a fictional singer, you need to build that in from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. No. Agreed. All right, so then we have Love Lights Hanukkah. That's the main thing we're talking about today. And this movie stars Mia Kirshner, Ben Savage, Mary Lou Henner. And it's as Christina prepares her restaurant for its busiest time of the year, she gets her DNA test revealing that she's Jewish. The discovery leads her to a new family and an unlikely romance over 8 nights. So we had last year had talked about the 3 Hanukkah movies, 1 for Lifetime, 2 for Hallmark, and we particularly liked the Double Holiday. The other 2 were not as good, and then so now we have Love Lights and Hanukkah this year. And compared, what did you think of it overall, and what did you think of comparison to last year's efforts?
So I think this is a great bridge movie.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, like Mary Lou Henner's performance in this movie as compared to the ancient one I forget the name of it. With
Yeah.
the one that we shall not say.
Yeah. Hitched for the Holidays.
Yes, that one. She
You
is
hate it.
fantastic here, so much better than she was in Hitched for the Holidays. Less frenetic as a character, more natural. There is one of the other things I love about this movie is how much it uses sort of our heroine's journey as she discovers her heritage and what she wants to do with it as a lens. There were we are getting towards, and I'd like when I use the word bridge, if you compare this movie to last year's, there is a fundamentally less amount of Christmas in this movie than last year. And you can see Christmas as a background holiday, but the main holiday that's being explored and centered is Hanukkah.
Yeah.
I can see them moving towards making a Hanukkah movie without Christmas elements next, but I think they needed this bridge to get there, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah. I liked it. There's a really good article in the Toronto Star, I believe, called What Did a Jewish Rom-Com Junkie Think of Hallmark's Love Lights and Hanukkah? And she has a lot of good thoughts. And I thought that she says it kind of what you're saying very well. She says, overall, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie and will definitely watch it again when it premieres December 13th. She had seen a screener. This time with my other half, I think it's a kitschy and light way to introduce him to some of my ancestors' traditions with my own personal commentary on how things were done in my family and how they've changed over the years. And so she's from a mixed tradition family, mixed religion family. So she says, that said, we'll be watching it under the glow of his Christmas tree. So I thought that was cute that she said that. And so somebody who admittedly knows very little about Hanukkah, this was really cool to get to learn a little bit more about it and kind of have one that's more steeped in Hanukkah. Of course, this is part of Countdown to Christmas, so they're going to have some Christmas as part of it, which I think is appropriate. But I enjoyed it. I had a few little qualms, little issues we'll talk about, but the whole conceit of her finding out that she's Jewish and kind of looking into that, I felt like was an interesting angle to take, that especially so soon after her mother had passed away. And one of the things that I didn't like in the movie is I wasn't crazy about how they handled most of the adoption stuff in the film. Because I didn't like the way she kept referring to her mother as her adoptive mother. Like, your mother is your mother.
Yeah.
And your mother is the woman who raised you. And I understand that, people have different names for, people, and there probably are some people who refer to their adoptive mother as the adoptive mother, but it seemed I didn't like it because her mother, who she was very close to, had a very good relationship, had just died, and for her to immediately go from calling her mother to calling her adoptive mother, I didn't like it. I felt like that didn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah, that was like, it's interesting because like some of the cultural questions that are intrinsic to a lot of this plotline, including the adoption storyline, including like the DNA test, which is controversial at the moment. Like, I would have gone a different direction, but I understand in a lot of ways why they made the choices they did in certain aspects, not that in particular, not the point that you just brought up in particular, but like why it was the biological mother that was Jewish in a lot of ways, if that makes sense at all.
Right. Well, and also when they're talking, she says, I gave my baby up for adoption. And I know that most of the adoption community prefers to use positive language instead of gave up, prefers to use words like placed or put up or something like that. as opposed to gave up. That's kind of a negative connotation. That's admittedly kind of a nitpick. It's semantics. What are, words you're going to use? It's certainly not a deal breaker in the movie, but I just wasn't crazy about the whole sort of way the adoption was handled in the story. Just, I felt like it all should have been more emotional. Mary Lou Henner did have a couple moments where she was crying but I don't know, like if I found out that I had like a new sister, I would freak out and be like, oh my gosh, wow. It's amazing. It would be overwhelming and exciting. And I don't know, I just feel like everyone's reactions would be so much heightened, and find out that your mother had a whole marriage that you didn't even know about. And you're like, what? Like
that was like the sort of the way that like the way that they handled the adoption is all also tied into the way that she discovered everything, if that makes any sense. Like the way that all of that was handled is all tied in together. And I would not have made those choices, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I guess it's not a deal breaker. I still overall enjoyed the film. But
very much so.
But I just that was my main problem with and every time she referred to her mom as her adopted mom, it kind of cringed.
Same.
I'm like, oh no. She's not your adopted mom. She's your mom.
Exactly. She's your mom. She raised you. Like,
yeah.
This is why like these traditions of yours are so important to you. Like if all of a sudden she's taken second place, then why do you have that tree in your house?
Yeah.
Like why is your restaurant filled with all those Christmas things if that woman who raised you is not important to you?
Yeah. And so the Ruth, Mary Lou Henner's character, she says they're going to have the Hanukkah to remember, and she makes bagels and lox and is very excited. And then so Ben Savage's character, he is David. He is a friend of the family, and he was very swoon worthy in this movie. And welcome to Hallmark, Ben Savage. I'm so glad to have you here.
It's like more Jewish heroes, please.
Yes. And I love him. I mean, I love Boy Meets World so much.
I would love to see him and Matt Cohen play rivals and like, like that would be fantastic.
That would be fun.
And, gorgeous.
I think one of the challenges that you have with Hanukkah movies is that Hanukkah is not as important to, from my understanding, my Jewish friends, Hanukkah is not as important a holiday as Christmas is to Christians. And so it's hard to make a movie that I think is as hardcore Hanukkah seems like.
So here's the thing. And this is the thing I've actually been thinking about recently for reasons. Hanukkah religiously is not as important as Christmas is. Our religious center is the high holidays that usually takes place in September and October, Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. Those are the central holidays. And then the most important central family gathering holiday is Passover, which takes place in either March or April, depending on how the calendar works. Hanukkah, for whatever reason, and for a lot of reasons, is what I like to think of as a holiday of identity. Like customarily you put the menorah in the window, customarily, like, and as a result, culturally, it is a time to announce to the world for 5 minutes that you're Jewish and you matter.
Yeah.
Hence the hat, hence like all of this stuff. Hence, like, you walk into a store and you see a random character holding a dreidel, or you turn on your television and like you see someone playing a dreidel game, or like I sobbed when I was watching this movie every single time I heard the blessing. Like that's identity. And because it's more of a cultural holiday as opposed to a holy or religious holiday, you have freedom to play with cultural traditions, with ideas. And so you can work with that. Like that's something that I thought about when I was writing Miracles. Like,
Mm-hmm.
It's identity, like this sort of, like, one of the things I loved about Mia Kirshner's character in Love Lights Hanukkah ties into a thing that I do. Like, she has, like someone pointed out that by the time the movie ended, she had 3 menorahs sitting on her mantle.
Yeah, because there never was a question of her like converting religiously to Judaism in the
Yep.
story. It was all about her understanding her cultural, racial, ethnic history
which
and
is
tradition.
I think which was a great tactic to take.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
what they decide in the future, what she decides in the future, that is entirely up to her, and I loved that. But like, if you think about identity and you think about all the things, like, she covered the restaurant in Christmas, in like, she has the Christmas music playing, she has all of these she has all of these ornaments on her tree, and she lovingly decorates it because it's it's the tradition that she wraps herself in.
Yeah.
Of course it makes sense that as she explores this new sort of cultural and ethnic identity of hers, that she's going to treat it the same way and have as many things as possible.
That's a good point. That's very true.
With a more religious holiday, there really is no room to have that conversation in Judaism.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Rosh Hashanah is a new year, and Yom Kippur, it's confessional. You fast. Like, there's really nothing like that you can take and make, because you shouldn't make anything joyous out of that. But like, it's really not, and it's not a story that I don't think should be adapted in that way. Whereas Hanukkah, absolutely, like, go right ahead, like, find those family traditions, create a community, like, write all of those things.
Yeah, it's like I hadn't thought of it quite that way. That's very, very true. And she does. She learns, she embraces Hanukkah, and she embraces Christmas in the story, and her and David get to know each other. And I thought that the two of them had really nice chemistry, and I liked the fact that there was never any question of his interest in her. Like, pretty much from the very beginning, he was like, I want to start dating you, and I'm interested in you, and let's make this happen, kind of a thing. And I like that.
And I loved, in conjunction with that, how he was very much like, this is your show. This is how I feel. You take it or leave it, but I am not like forcing this on you.
Yeah.
Which I love. And like,
because a lot of times they kind of skip over the dating part of relationships in these movies. They just immediately go from family, friends, or working together, or plan something, and they forget, like, I love the whole awkwardness of like asking out on the first date and like, are you gonna hold my hands? And I liked it when she's like a little bit nervous or whatever, and he's like, you could have just asked me to hold your hand, and that was so cute.
I was like, oh my god. And I think that was during the menorah lighting scene, right?
Yeah.
That happened. So like, I have to say, like, one of the things I loved so much about this movie was the fact that they actually had the Leslie Odom Jr. And Nicolette Robinson version of Mao Zor. I love that, and I love the story behind it too. Like, there were a bunch of different articles, and I think there was Tablet had one, and I think Alma had a profile of her. But basically, like, when Leslie Odom Jr. was recording his album, he asked his wife, recording his newest holiday album, he asked his wife, what Hanukkah song should I do? Because she's Jewish. And she said Mao Zor. And so apparently, like, according to what I read, I think Yair Rosenberg, who writes for Tablet, actually asked, like, what happened? How did you prepare for this? And they apparently worked with a cantor. And I was like, this is fantastic. And like, but it's a beautiful song. It was a beautiful moment when they had this.
Yeah. I also liked the way that the movie kind of helped the character of Christina to realize how she was going to be able to make a merging of all of this,
Mm-hmm.
in maybe even
Yep.
the next year, how that was all going to work. And in this article, I think she sums it up really well. She says, because she's about to, this person who's writing this is trying to figure that out in her own marriage. And she says, sure, there were menorahs, happy Hanukkah signs strewn throughout, a token Kai Hamza displayed on a counter,
Yeah.
and even a dreidel shrine of sorts. But as someone who grew up always wanting a Christmas tree and who admires wreaths and decorations and lights galore, it was a welcome element. In fact, it's one I'll adopt on my own. As this holiday season, I'll be marrying both Hanukkah and Christmas since my boyfriend celebrates the latter and it's our first together. And I thought that was so cute. The idea that people could watch this movie and figure out, because there are so many interfaith families,
Mm-hmm.
and so they could figure out how we can celebrate and merge the two and celebrate and it was interesting. I was talking to Fran Drescher in amazing to get that I can use that sentence, by the way. But I
Oh
was
my
talking
God.
to Fran Drescher and I asked her what it was like to be in a Christmas movie. And she's like, I celebrate Christmas. She's like, is anything that's joyful and that's about celebrating and is an excuse to have joy with my friends and family. I don't have to be part of that religious denomination. And I think that's really true. And I think a lot of people are kind of seeking to as much joy as possible. And
Very
so
much
whether it's
so.
Hanukkah or Christmas. So I liked that. And you also get you have scenes where she you have scenes where she's making him lasagna. You have scenes where he's making her kugel.
I wanted
So
to
the,
see the kugel scene. Like I wanted to see him make the kugel. Like he says, "Oh, I'm going
yeah.
to make this kugel." Like going back to I wanted to see in the Lifetime movie when we wanted to see the actual sort of mac and cheese battle.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I wanted to see him make the kugel.
Because yeah, that could have been fun. That could
that montage would have been amazing. And I also would have wanted to know what kugel it was. Was it noodle kugel? Was it potato kugel? Because there are different ones.
I think it was noodle, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that would have been fun.
That would have been amazing to watch.
But they're cute little dates. That was the highlight of this movie, in my opinion. Was their dates, the outdoor menorah lighting, the lights go out in the restaurant, and that whole sequence.
Of the light. The miracle.
Yeah, that was really good. I also loved the Christmas tree in her restaurant. That tree was big.
That was huge. Well, yeah, that's
huge.
That's one of the things that I loved about her character is that and why the 3 menorahs later were so important on the mantle.
It was like a 12-foot tree. It was big.
It's huge. But the thing is, to her, that's part of her traditions, and she sort of embraces them completely and sort of uses them as a way of wrapping herself in the memories of her mother.
Yeah. I also liked that he was completely confident that they could make the relationship work. That, she's like, I don't know, you travel so much or whatever. And he's like, it'll be fine.
Yeah. And he was like, all right, I'm buying a house, I'm staying.
Yeah. And it was kind of nice because their relationship is kind of solved and resolved, and it's not 30 seconds left in the movie. There's still more, because she then ends up talking to her father, who we've seen earlier, because Ruth hadn't told him that he had a daughter, evidently, and so he tells her, and so he's like, oh, you have to come to Italy and everything, and so exciting. And then so she makes the Feast of Seven Fishes for her new family, and so that was very sweet. And overall, the movie had a big heart to it, and again was very sweet, and I really liked the two of them. And so I think, I loved Double Holiday last year. I thought that was so fun. I loved Chris Paloha and Carly Pope's chemistry.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
This one I discovered because I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Was written by the same person who wrote Holiday Date.
Oh, interesting. I like this better than Holiday Date.
how the thing, yeah, no, same. Like, and the thing is, like, the thing with Holiday Date, and again, like, I feel like it did as best it could given the baggage that it had to carry.
Right.
Was that, like, it had to explain to its audience what Hanukkah was. Like, that was literally the storyline of a lot of what Holiday Date was as a general rule, and why a lot of the things happened the way it did. And, like, the fact that it was able to give us anything of a romantic relationship when, like, most of the movie was spent and this custom and this custom and this custom to an audience that had no idea.
Yeah.
You know, like,
right.
you know,
but
like,
it didn't overdo it though. Like
no,
the Lifetime one last year, I forget what it was
oh God.
called.
Oh,
Because I mean, that one acted like nobody had ever even heard of Hanukkah or a menorah, or the people that were Jewish had never heard of a Christmas tree.
Yeah,
Like,
that
come
was
on.
my larger problem. Like, where, like, in both Double Holiday and Holiday Date, and then this one as well, like, in a lot of cases, with one nitpick of mine, which I will mention in 2 seconds, the Jews in the movies know Christmas. Like, it's not like we live under a rock.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's not like they live under a rock. It's not like they're not part of a functional community of people, you know, who celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah. The one problem that I had, and again, maybe I am old, I don't know. And I was talking to a friend, and I said, the radio stations I listened to when I grew up, as we reached the holiday season, would always play Dominic the Donkey.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Like, it was, because it's a snarky, you know, it's a snarky song. Like, it's a snarky, funny song. And so when he was like, I don't know what that is. Like, to me, that did not, but I was like, you know what? I'm old.
Yeah.
You know, who knows if they still play Dominic the Donkey on the radio? I have no idea. But like, to me, that was like, but you also, like, you really can't go, like, and the thing is, like, she listens to the classics, like, you know,
Frank Sinatra and stuff like that.
Like Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, and then I was like, he doesn't know that. That's kind of like my mother was like, my mother grew up listening to all of that music because that was the area that she grew up in. And so, like, you know, that was familiar to me because of what she listened to. My dad didn't like it so much, but like,
it was kind of funny seeing him be a food critic, and he had described her food as predictable. I think it was the word that they used.
Yep.
As a movie critic, that hit home. But yeah, so I would give this movie out of 5 crowns because I didn't like most of the adoption stuff. That didn't really work for me, but pretty much everything else I liked. But so I think I'd give it a 3.5 crowns out of 5. What about you?
I would so on its own, I would probably give it a 3.75. In context, I would give it a 5. And by context, I mean, like, progression.
Yeah.
Of like, because the thing is, like, I was thinking about this earlier, and like, with Hanukkah and how it has been handled, generally speaking, it's not something you can take on its own. I don't think. At least I can't. Like, you can't, like, I can't take it without thinking about Hitched for the Holidays, Double Holiday, and Holiday Date. And sort of like when we have a movie in the next couple of years that is solely Hanukkah focused with like some random bits of, you know, Christmas prep, then we can talk about it separately. But for me, this is like the best next step they could have possibly taken.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like I said, it's countdown to Christmas. That's what this is. It's a Christmas celebration. I mean, so I think it's appropriate to have a little bit of Christmas in these movies. And So, that's what it's about. It's not countdown to the holidays, it's countdown to Christmas. So this, I think, did a pretty good job of merging the two and really helping those of us who aren't as familiar with Hanukkah get familiarized with the prayer and with some other things. And I really, I for the most part, I enjoyed it. So that's my thoughts. That's our thoughts on Love Lights and Hanukkah. We encourage Hallmark to keep trying every year. We look forward to every year. I think it's be kind of fun that hopefully every year we kind of get our Hanukkah movie and we can kind of compare them to the previous ones and all of that. And I think that'll be a fun new tradition that they're doing. And I like that.
I think so too. And I will also say, like, one of the things that I didn't think that I thought about instantly when I first saw it was that I did not expect this to happen so quickly.
Yeah.
I expected an interfaith Easter Passover movie or like an interfaith sequel to Double Holiday or Holiday. I did not expect this. Like where like there was visibly less like. And the other thing I will say, like, if you compare the Christmas scenes to the movies in the years before, there were less of them.
Oh, yeah.
Like, definitely. They decorated her tree. They did not go to get it.
Right.
She talked about baking Christmas things. You did not see her do it.
Yeah.
Like, all of the baking scenes, all of the cooking scenes were Hanukkah focused. Right. Which I liked, which you can tell that progression.
Yeah. So I'll put a link down if you want to read this article that she talks about her experiences. Maybe I'll try to get her on the podcast. Seems fun. So check a look at that. And we'll have also a link for your book. And where can people follow you on social media and all that fun stuff?
So I am at NYStacey on Twitter. My website is staceyagdern.com. I am S. Agdern on Instagram, and I am Stacey A. Agdern on Facebook.
Great. And we'll have all that in the description section as well. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And make sure you're following the podcast to Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And we also have our merch store and our Patreon group, which are really fun. And we're so grateful. Thank you. Oh, yeah. This is our official patron shirt designed by artist Jessica Miller. So if you, at a certain tier, you can actually get a free shirt, this shirt. So check it out. We really try to make our Patreon worthwhile. And so all that information is in the description. And we have monthly watch-alongs where you get to hear from the writers, from directors, different things. And we get to watch the movies along with them. So that's really fun. So lots of good stuff going on. And thank you so much, Stacey. This was so much fun. I hope this becomes a yearly tradition.
Rachel, I'm so excited to be. I was so excited to be here, and I cannot wait till next year.
Well, happy Hanukkah to you and a Merry Christmas as well.
Yes.
And we'll talk to you all later. Let us know your thoughts. Bye, everyone.
Bye.